Have you ever thought about making a YouTube channel? Do you maybe have one and are struggling? Me too. So today I'm joined by Griffin, who ran the YouTube channel Commander Quest, now runs the channel Qwerty.
It'll be pretty difficult, but I'm gonna try the combination lock first. I'm gonna go each number and pull.
And who has edited for some big names in the Magic community. We discuss his, at the time, new video that was gaining major traction.
Beastburger. So let's go check it out.
And after 2 hours of driving,
I just arrived and found some parking.
How to solve YouTube challenges creators face, and why Magic thumbnails suck, along with much more. We are so glad that you're here. We're gonna start off, if you can tell me a little bit about your journey on YouTube, the channels you've worked on, and then what channel are you working on right now?
So I've had a long journey on YouTube. First, I started as a podcast related to Magic the Gathering. Then I just decided to post my podcast on YouTube. And that's how I started with the Commander Quest channel, which was my first YouTube channel. That ended up doing better than the podcast did. And I started to care more and more about YouTube and less about the podcast aspect. So eventually I started focusing on both and editing my videos and making them shorter. And I stopped posting it as a podcast and started only posting it on YouTube. I mean, in the beginning, I was just so interested in Magic that I really wanted to make content and talk about it. And then over time, I kind of lost interest in Magic, but my interest shifted more to content specifically. So at some point, I reached a point where I just wasn't that interested in Magic anymore. And so I decided to stop working on my Commander Quest channel. And I made a new channel called Griffin about 6 months ago. It's doing pretty well. I'm trying to post higher quality and like longer production times, like content. And I think it's working out pretty well.
So do you think that YouTube is set up for success with smaller creators?
Yeah. If you post a good enough video with an audience that will connect with it, then it will succeed.
So do you think for a lot of small creators really not being able to build a following, so you think that's more of a content issue rather than an algorithm issue?
For the most part, yes. YouTube is set up in a way that it takes a lot of time and effort to get to a point where your videos will be recommended. And another thing is you can have the best content, but if it doesn't connect with a specific audience, it doesn't matter. Like there needs to be a built-in audience who's going to see it and be like, oh, I know, I want this. So the algorithm can push it to those people. And that doesn't even apply to larger creators. You can look at the videos that larger creators are making and make those exact similar ideas or something like that, and it won't work for you because they already have an audience and you need to connect with an audience since you're a new creator.
Yeah. So sort of in a similar vein, do you think YouTube is a good place for niche content creators? I mean, there are videos out there where, you know, people do wood turning and they find their audience, but do you think sort of there can be oversaturation in those markets?
I think for super niche stuff, you just have to be like, you have to capture that audience really well. And I think you can do that pretty effectively because there's not as much competition. And then another thing a lot of niche creators can do, and you might not want to do this, but you can even expand your audience. Like, I don't know if you've heard of like Dr. Mike, for example. He's a doctor. He makes like doctor college type content for medical students, mainly. That's the core audience. But he also expands it out so that he makes like reaction formats that anyone can see that and be interested.
So sort of diving into more of the oversaturation aspect of it, do you think that is a problem for people who enjoy making content, or is that a good driving force for people to sort of diversify?
Yeah, I think The Blue Ocean Strategy is a good book. The idea is you just try and differentiate your content so much that the competition isn't really, competition anymore. You're just making something unique. And it can be hard to do that and hard to figure out how you're going to make yourself unique. And there's also the risk of that whatever you do that's unique, no one actually cares about. But if you make something unique, then people will be interested and more likely to click on you, because if I make a Mr. Beast video, it's just going to be worse. And then
Mr. Beast
people
is
will
already
watch
doing
him. Yeah, exactly. People will watch him instead of me.
Yeah. So do you think the formula for success on YouTube, it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying it is having a unique video that is also a high quality and entertaining video.
Yeah. You just got to keep on posting things and get better.
Mhm.
Hello, this is my cat.
What's the cat's name?
This is Goldilocks.
Oh, Goldilocks. That's a good cat name.
But yeah, you just got to keep on posting. One thing I've seen is get going, get good, and then get smart. So you first start, you're just posting videos. You try and post them consistently or on a schedule or something. Then you try and get good. You build your skills and get better. And then you try and get smart. So you really careful with your ideas and make sure that they're successful. You're careful with your branding and your thumbnails and things like that. The idea is the most important part of the video.
So that get going thing is sort of something I wanted to dive into. We've both been doing YouTube for a long time. Do you remember when you started posting YouTube videos? That was what, a couple years ago?
September 22nd, 2022.
Looking back right now on what my first video, it was April 14th, 2019. So we sort of both started in the span of like the same like year-ish round, but we've both been making content on YouTube for almost 3 years.
Yeah.
For you, it's been like 3.5 for me. The get going thing, I think, is one thing that can be hard for a lot of smaller creators. I mean, like even both of us during our journeys of YouTube have had periods where we haven't posted because it is very difficult to keep a consistent posting schedule. And I think one part of that is the growth while you are trying to find that unique content that is also good, and find that balance is really difficult to attain. So I don't know if you have any insights there.
Yeah, in the beginning, your videos are going to be awful. And that's just how it is. So you just need to keep on improving. And that's the get going part. The only important part in the beginning is that you are posting videos. Like you could post the worst videos ever and you're making good progress. That's the thing.
As you grow, you sort of need to diversify or definitely increase the content.
Yeah.
But also, I think once you post for long enough, this has been the case in my experience. I'm not sure how it is for you. Once you post for long enough and you have increased the quality of your videos enough, it sort of becomes daunting to make a video because you know how much editing is going to lay ahead of you. And then once you do make that video and you release it and it gets like 70 or 80 views, it's really disheartening. So I think that is probably a pretty big disincentivizer for people to make YouTube videos and keep making YouTube videos.
Yeah, when you pour 100+ hours into a video and it gets like 100 views, it's like, it's a bit disheartening.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
One of the really important things to think about, and one thing that's helped me is you got to think this video that I'm making, it's adding to my library of content. So what you do is you have one video go viral, and then all that is going to push people to other videos on your channel. And then your entire channel can go viral at the same time if you have a good enough library of content. So it's all building towards that. Even if it doesn't get any views now, it might help you in the future blow up.
That's a really good way to think about it. I have to remember that sometimes.
Yeah.
Sort of, I was thinking about this line of thinking, not to use the word think twice in the same sentence, but I just did. Sort of other ways that it can be incentivized in terms of like, I'm not getting views, but what else can incentivize me to keep going, even when my newest video is not doing great? And one thing I was thinking about was monetization. I don't know about you, but I look at my videos and I see that there are ads in my videos, and it really upsets me because YouTube has ads on all of my videos, thousands of views, which in the grand scheme of things isn't a lot, but still it's thousands of views YouTube makes money off of, and both of us don't see any of that. I was going back and watching some of your videos, the $50 budget commander game I watched for the first time the other day. A really good video, by the way. I'm sorry I never sent that General Tazri list over.
I forgot about that.
I did too. But
yes.
And I had a video, I had an ad getting on the video, and that's the type of stuff I look at. And do you think there should be a change in how YouTube monetizes videos, or what the level is to get monetized?
Yeah, I feel like in the beginning they had this story. We can't monitor everyone, so we're gonna have this requirement: 1,000 subscribers, $4,000 watch time to get ads on your videos. And it's like, all right, that's fair. You know, you're not gonna be making very much money at that point, anyways. But then they just decided, well, we're gonna put ads on it anyways, so that they can make more money, which just completely removes the reason. It doesn't. There's no reason why we're not getting that. But the other part is like, well, yeah, but there's like a $100 limit where you can't cash out. So you're not going to earn you're probably not going to earn $100 before you get to 1,000 subscribers even. So does it even matter? Not a huge amount.
I think that's a good point, but I think a lot of really entrenched YouTubers, like people who have been posting for a while but still haven't reached that mark, I think that's a really good thing to work towards. I think that's really good motivation for people. I've done the math before. I mean, it depends on what rate you want to look at. I'm not sure exactly what the number was. I believe it depends on what source you're looking at in terms of how much money you're going to make. And then obviously the length of your videos, your retention, it's a whole formula.
A typical CPM, which is per 1,000 views, would be about $2 to $4.
$2 to $4 per 1,000 views.
Yeah.
So you'd have to be between about 25 and 50,000 then in order to make money off of it.
So I guess if we look at my lifetime views, I have 65,000 views. So I guess, yeah, that's 130 to 260.
My lifetime views right now is sitting at 65,000. So I mean, both of us would have not
actually,
a lot.
That's more than you think.
Yeah, it's not life-changing money, but it's certainly money that would make a difference. You know, YouTube, obviously, they're a company, they want to make money, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't see a huge downside to them to pay out creators who have facilitated traffic to their site.
Yeah, another thing to think about is the point where you do blow up. Maybe that's when you pass 1,000 subscribers, and then you don't see potentially the profits from 1,000,000 views because you got that all in the time that you were getting monetized.
Exactly. I think it was Dream, right? That had I know I listened to some YouTubers say it at some point, not that I'm a huge Dream stan or anything. But I think it was he really blew up, made a lot of money, or would have made a lot of money. But the requirements he just got, so by the time the paperwork was actually filed as he was making money, he had missed out on thousands of dollars. So would you say that monetization on YouTube is sort of unfair? Would you say it's broken? Would you say it can't be improved? I mean, even beyond smaller creators in the grand scheme of things.
I think it's it's the best place on the internet to monetize, pretty much. Despite the fact that like you are earning the most in AdSense compared to any other platform, you also have the best opportunity to get people to buy stuff from you or to make money in other ways because of the fact it's long form, because of this fact that you have an authentic connection to the audience. You're able to sell things a lot better than you are on, say, TikTok. Good luck selling something on TikTok. It's not going to work as well.
Yeah, that is a very good point. And I think something else in terms of monetization is smaller creators can get very frustrated. The algorithm doesn't push your video, which is partially because your video might not be good enough or be hitting the right audience. Which I mean, it's still it's a hard way to learn the lesson of your video isn't good enough when you put so much time and effort into it and it reaches 50, 60 people. Like when especially given a lot of other factors like YouTube is not the best at pushing out notifications to subscribers, putting it in their home feed, which might be for a plethora of algorithm reasons. But there's a lot of smaller creators who can fall into the trap of promotions that are not exactly the most legitimate. Myself, I received an email from a company that shall, for legal reasons, remain nameless, assuming it wasn't just a scam email in the first place. Their scam detector score out of 100 was 0, with 100 being the best. So I think there's a number of companies that really have the potential to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Where, you're like a lot of small creators are not in a place where they can, like, if I hadn't, worked an actual job, I don't know that I would be in the place to refuse any money. Like,
Yeah, you got to be really careful. And even like legitimate things that might mess with your reputation, or just taking even like an ad deal that might earn you like $2 or $3. It's like, maybe don't.
yeah, I followed the command zone, as I think everyone in the Magic, you know, Magic community has followed the command zone. I know they've gotten some backlash at times for the number of ads they have, for some of the companies they've chosen to market. I think it's worth saying though that they're running a whole company. It's very difficult. And when AdSense comparatively on YouTube is great, but still in the grand scheme of things, it's not that much money. Um, I have more of an appreciation for really the company they've been able to build. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think that for a majority of creators, AdSense is not the largest source of income.
Yeah.
It's not like, for a lot of creators, it'll be like less than 10%. If you're really effective at monetizing, it can be a very small
And
chunk.
sorry, go ahead.
Like the quality of the videos that they're producing, like the amount of production that they need compared to the audience for it is just really, it's not there. The business model isn't there. So what they do is they talk to sponsors, and mostly I think WotC funds it. Wizards will fund the production of game nights because they know it's doing a lot for the publicity and
Absolutely.
success of their game.
Yeah, that and their ability to bring in big stars. I mean, Post Malone being on uh game nights, that's awesome. I mean, especially for Magic, where you sort of have this uh internal struggle. A lot of the people who play Magic, sometimes, you obviously get like the nerdy moniker from it, or you'd be a little self-conscious about it. Like myself, that's something where, I people find out I have a Magic YouTube channel, and I just have to be proud of it. I can't sit there and be like embarrassed about it, because I mean, it's not the most cool thing. But it's sort of a cultural change too, where like, me embarrassed about playing Magic. Post Malone plays Magic. Like, he's a
Yeah,
superstar.
exactly. It helps bring it into the mainstream.
It does. They get decent views on a lot of those game night videos. They have some that are at a couple million. But still, I mean,
Yeah.
the
Um,
amount they're spending on that is a TV show level production.
yeah, it's pretty insane. One thing which one of the reasons that was like really intimidating to me, from a YouTube perspective, was like I was looking at their thumbnails, and straight up, their thumbnails are terrible for game nights. Like it's just only people who know what game nights is will click on a game nights thumbnail. I'm just, that's my opinion, right? So I was like, how in the world am I supposed to figure out how to make an effective thumbnail when these people with giant teams of people can't do it properly? And I tried, but I just couldn't. There's a lot of things that I couldn't figure out properly.
How much room do you think Magic content has to grow on YouTube?
Um, I think there's the two areas, which is one, people who already play Magic and people who don't. Um, not everyone who plays Magic is watching videos on it. I think that's
Absolutely.
pretty easy to capture that audience. There's going to be people that will just keep on growing over time. And it seems like Magic is keeping on growing over time. But there's also people who are not, who don't play Magic. And that's a lot harder of an audience to capture. I think there's going to be someone who figures out how to make a clickable title and thumbnail that's about Magic for people who've never heard of the game, how to make a good video for people who haven't heard of the game, and they're going to do really well.
So do you think that in essence just takes time?
Um, it just takes a lot of strategizing and thinking about it, looking at other niches, seeing what works for them. Um, I think, yeah, takes a lot of time and practice and strategy. And just looking within yourself, is someone who's never played Magic going to be interested?
Yeah. But with your new channel is not Magic focused.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's an advantage that niche content creators have, especially affiliate marketing, that we can, especially Magic content creators, we can find a list of products that people want because I mean our entire like my entire channel is just about Magic. That's a product.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's a lot easier to identify your audience and they have a lot more direct wants and needs. But even for me, I still have like a profile of who's watching my videos and I can understand that. And then sell what they need. So you still need to make an effort to understand your audience, but it can be a lot easier to do that. And it's a lot more direct what you're selling them.
So sort of tying back into the monetization aspect, do you think that the ability for you to monetize your channel, if you had been able to monetize it earlier, would have sort of changed its lifespan? Do you think that would have caused you to work on it for longer, or are you just playing the long game? You're just going to work on this channel because you think it's more.
Um, I think it was more just an interest thing. I was always working on YouTube. Like just
Mhm.
my time and put into YouTube is just going up and up and up. I mean, at this point, I've reached a threshold where I can't go up much more because, school isn't really optional.
Only 24 hours in a day.
Yeah, exactly. But it just went up and up and up. And then, it doesn't really go down very often.
Yeah.
So I was always working on it. I think it was more just I was less interested in this type of content. And so I shifted to other types. I also
Mhm.
did experiment with editing for other people.
No,
Yeah. Do you know the Nitpicking Nerds?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I edited I think it was two or three of their series, Shuffle Scuffle. I edited a couple of those videos and I was able
Nice.
to earn some money.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you sort of brought up something interesting there with like the work-life balance. With YouTube, obviously, that's very difficult, but it's also sort of set by yourself in the sense of once I'm done here, I can edit this right away. I can, go hang out with my friends. I can lay in my bed. um, do you th how do you think creators should be handling the work-life balance, especially smaller creators who aren't making a living from YouTube?
I'm awful at this. I don't have a work-life balance. I just work as much as I can. I just edit and work on YouTube as much as I can. Um, but I think, yeah, I don't know how to do this. I don't know the answer to that, to be completely honest.
No, and that's fair. That's a good thing to admit too. Um, but sort of that's a hurdle I think I've run into as well is a lot of people like myself. If I have free time, I love to edit and produce YouTube videos, but especially when you're not making money from it, you're not seeing a huge increase every time you post in views and subscribers. It can be really difficult to make yourself go, do I want to hang out with people until 2 a.m. or do I want to like edit videos?
Yeah, yeah,
um, and also like I have 20 minutes of free time and really if when I'm passionate, when I'm making a video that I love, that 20 minutes of free time will be used to edit that video. Absolutely. Like um but if I'm making a video I'm so about, I'm not making money from it, I'm not probably going to get a bunch of subscribers from it, that's sort of a harder motivation. So I think sort of going back to what we were saying earlier with the keep going and posting part, I think those are hurdles that small YouTubers encounter.
yeah. I think it's all about having really good video ideas.
What are other things that small YouTubers should either expect when they go and make a channel and start posting videos, or know that they're going to have to figure out at some point? It might not be right now. Both of
Yeah.
us are sort of on different ends, where you work on YouTube a little bit too much. Sometimes I could work on YouTube a little bit more. But what are other things that should figure out?
Yeah, I just think you got to make sure that what you're creating content, you really enjoy it, because you're not going to get, even if you're just this person who only wants success, you just want to keep on working and only make money. That's the only reason you're doing it. It's not going to work out for you because you're going to get
Yeah.
burnt out and you're going to keep on working at it for years and then see no success. Like there's times when it makes sense to look at it as a business, but you have to make sure that you really enjoy what you're doing.
And your content, it's going to show in your content if you're just making it for business purposes, if you're not actually making the content because you love it, because you enjoy it. And I think it's also worth saying, look, the people who have made big businesses out of YouTube, they're not really like making so much money. And the people who are, like Mr. Beast, he spends all of his money right back into YouTube.
Yeah.
So, and the percentage, when you think about the number of creators on the platform, those who really make it big enough to be living like the celebrity lifestyle, buying big houses, starting companies that like adoring fans will just run to, very small portion.
Yeah, you got to really be on the cutting edge to get there.
Yeah.
But yeah. And the other thing, like what I was talking about with the blue ocean strategy, where you just make everything so different that you don't have to compete with people as much. That's how you really get the odds high because, when you're just making the same content as someone else, they'll just watch the other person instead because they're probably doing it better than you.
Yeah. So this is something that I think both of us and really every magic creator is trying to figure out, is how to diversify. Like, how do you make something that is not a deck tech, not a top 10 list, not an opening or like a product review, and make that something people want to watch?
Yeah, that's hard. I tried that a good amount. Like I did before you brews, I did deck templates. I tried to make unique things, but
Mm-hmm.
again, the only audience that actually applied to is the people who were building that specific deck.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so it didn't really matter that much.
Which is one thing I've tried to think about. I have a list. Before I even went through, I just saw the stuff you sent the other day. I need to incorporate some of those in as well. I have a list of right now, I think about 70 video ideas, of which I've made 5 or 6. And every time I go to make a video, I look through and I'm like, well, what am I feeling this time? What am I feeling this time? What am I feeling this time? A lot of them are out there, but they're so difficult to make when you don't have a budget, when you don't have like any of that. And then a lot of times you make those ideas, it's a thought, it really doesn't connect the way you think it would. And then you've spent all this time. Um, but I guess that's sort of what you have to do, even outside of magic as a creator in general, if you want to make it big.
Yeah. It's all about having really good ideas. The way I think of it is quantity is really good for learning.
That's very true.
So you're not going to get anywhere unless you've made probably hundreds of videos, or at least 100. I've made
Mhm.
probably 150 videos ish, which that's a good amount. But you have to make a ton of videos to get good at it.
Yeah.
And then past that point, quantity doesn't necessarily help you with growth. It can increase the likelihood, and you do need a quantity of videos on your channel to actually blow it up. But um, you really need a quality video that's gonna spread to actually see success.
Yeah, I think it's worth saying as well. Quality doesn't necessarily mean success in and of itself. You sort of have to
Yes.
have a combination of the two. I recently bought a new video software where I can look at some of my later videos. In my opinion, the editing is a lot better, but that doesn't mean the content is better. For
Mm-hmm.
some of them, they're ideas that worked pretty well considering I didn't post for 8 months. Um, but you still have to have an idea. You can have the best edited video, but if it's not interesting, people aren't going to care, especially as a small creator where you don't have a devoted fan base that will watch whatever you put out.
Yeah, it's all about the idea. That's the most important part. That's like people really underestimate the level of good idea you have to have. Like if
Mhm.
you look at people like Dream, Mr. Beast, Eric, anything like that, a lot of the point where they got their success came from one really good idea. A
Yeah.
point where a lot of people will get their success is from one really, really good idea. And then from there they can work with that and have smaller good ideas, you
Yeah.
know? And it's really rare and really hard to get those crazy ideas. And so you need to have, think about it as much as you can and try and get really good ideas.
But do you think that there's a tendency for good ideas to become your brand almost?
Uh, so there's this idea of personality versus idea-based creators. So Emma Chamberlain is the biggest personality-based creator. And I
Mhm.
think that if you're starting out, it's going to be incredibly difficult to be
Absolutely.
a personality-based creator. There might be a way to do it, and that's going to, in the future, that's going to be much more relevant. But like I think that in the future of YouTube meta, there will be first of all a lot more storytelling, a lot better storytelling, and second of all, a lot more connection and slow pacing in order to have a better connection with the creator.
So you don't think that sort of the TikTok fast videos is going to wind up being the industry standard?
No, people are fed up with it. It's gonna be slow. It's just gonna how do I explain this?
The pendulum has swung too far in one direction, so it's going to
Yeah,
come back.
exactly. I think TikTok will still be relevant for a long time, but I think that on YouTube at least, it will start swinging the other way.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, one video I did recently on my new channel has just blown up my channel. I mean, I had like 60 subscribers like 11 days ago.
Hmm.
Um, it has now gained 10,000 views and
Nice.
gotten me like 100 subscribers. Plus,
Nice.
I did a short, which also did super well. But it's all about having like a really good idea, and the fact that that had an audience that it connected to that could
Mhm.
see that video made it do really well.
And I think I like having very good ideas too can be sort of a blessing and a curse. I think for my personal channel, my best idea I've had, not to say it's a great idea, but in the grand scheme of on my hierarchy of ideas, it was
Mhm.
up here towards the top of the ideas, um, was Fibble Flip, which I think was a good idea for myself. I enjoyed that. I still do enjoy that, buying like random buys and then having
Mhm.
it wind up leading into the next one. That's really hard to make. Like,
Yeah.
I have to have money for that. I have to have time. Now I am here in uh, a different place. I'm not going to say where I
Mhm.
am in the actual video, um, but I don't have a car. I don't have a way to get around and recreate that. So I think there's a level of dedication that has to be put into sort of ideas as well that can be sort of prohibitive for creators who aren't doing it full time.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's an infinite number of ideas. And while adding more money does not make a video better, it means that you don't have to think about the ideas as much because a lot of
Yeah,
the really good ideas you'll think of, well, they're going to cost a lot. And
exactly. Yeah.
and you have to
And
think of
I have a list.
another really good idea that's free, which is hard.
Yeah, I have a list of videos where like I'll be so interested. I look at the video and I'm like, I would totally watch that, but I don't have $200 that I want to spend on making a
Mhm.
video right now. Like I can spend that money and do a whole lot of other things. I can get a lot of Chick-fil-A for $100.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've
um,
done that recently on my video, like on my new channel. I've actually spent a good amount of money on the videos.
Having the willingness and dedication as well. I mean, it's risk taking. It's what I mean.
Mhm.
That's what got Mr. Beast to the height that he's at. Is he was willing to take risks. But not everybody's the same level of comfortable, which I guess is sort of a test of how dedicated to it you are.
Yeah, to an extent. I mean, for me, I don't have any doubt that I'm gonna be a big YouTuber. Like it's just a question of when. I think most likely by the end of like by the time I graduate high school, I'll be able to um support myself with YouTube. I'm not sure. It's probably like a 60% chance, you know. I might just have to edit for other people in the meantime. But like I know that I have the skills and the ability, and I'm just going to keep on working at it, and it will eventually work out.
That's a hardcore mindset to have.
Yeah. I mean, if I keep on doing it for 10 years, you know,
Yeah, you're
who's
bound at
up?
some point.
Exactly. I mean, I'll do it for a lot longer than 10 years, but you get my point.
Yeah. But I think that's one thing that's interesting too is the pursuit of optimizing YouTube content. We're not
Mhm.
there yet. I don't know that we're ever going to be there. I don't know that because there's too many variables in the algorithm to solve YouTube content. You basically have to solve the algorithm, in my opinion.
No, you have to solve human psychology. If you replace the word algorithm whenever you're thinking with audience, it's a better mindset, in my opinion. Also, like the algorithm is pretty simple, to be honest. Like it's the fact that there's an audience that connects with your idea. That's one big part. The second is just click-through rate and average view duration. And if you have a good enough click-through rate and average view duration, you don't even need to have the connection with an audience because it'll just show up on someone's feed and they'll click it regardless of if they have any connection with that idea.
So in that sense, solving the algorithm or solving the audience comes down to thumbnails in a sense.
Yes, thumbnails and ideas are extremely important. There, that's what you want to focus on a lot.
Which sort of goes back to what we were talking about the command zone before and how you don't view their thumbnails as optimized. Put it that way. What goes into a good thumbnail in your eyes?
So there's a lot of different theories. I would say the two that resonate the most with me is number one, the curiosity gap. So the idea they see this thumbnail, then they want the answer to something, right? It poses a question, there's something they're curious about, and they have to click on the video in order to get that type of answer. Another idea which I've seen is it's like interesting expectations. So they see your thumbnail and they expect something interesting from the content. So that one I feel like is more accurate, but it's also a lot harder to understand and to like work with. Um, I would also recommend Jay Alta's thumbnail guide. You can put a link in the description. I'll send it to you.
All right, I will
but
put that in the description.
but it helps a lot.
Do you think that specifically Magic as a community uh, can make their thumbnails that way, or do you think it's a little bit incompatible?
Oh, I
Can
think I
and
think someone will figure it out. I think there's a lot of hard things like for example, you think of like a gameplay series,
mhm.
they've have this thing where they put like four faces and then magic art in the background, and it's way too much stuff, right? You see that, you just see faces, it doesn't connect to magic, right? So someone's got to figure out how do we do this? How do we communicate this idea of gameplay with two or three elements or one?
So it's a less like busy thumbnail.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
It's all about making people think, oh, who's gonna win, or like,
Mhm.
I want to see this game.
And so it sounds to me as well like what you've been saying is that their abilities to do that is going to go hand in hand with how big Magic content can actually get.
Yes, absolutely. Because if you don't know what game nights is, you're probably not going to watch it. And
That's fair.
the incredible production and all that means that word of mouth has brought it really far.
Mhm.
And just the fact that everyone in like the Magic community talks about that
Yeah.
has gotten it really far and really successful.
I think that and some of the guests they have as well.
Yeah,
But
but
even you can look at their different episodes. Some of them they don't have high profile guests, but they're still getting a lot of views. I thought when they
mhm.
were Post Malone on, that was going to make it go really viral because people who didn't play Magic would like Post Malone is a very out there personality. He's just like fun to watch. I
Mhm.
thought people would be clicking on that and going, "Oh, it's Post Malone," but that's not really what happened. It got decent views, but it didn't blow up in the way that I think a lot of people, including myself, thought it would.
Yeah, I mean, having someone to connect with that would that definitely works, but it doesn't work as well when it's a really long video. And it
Yeah.
also doesn't work as well with the other concept that goes along with that celebrity as something you don't understand. So like Matthew Beam is a good example. He will put a lot of other creators in his thumbnail, and people will latch onto that and then click on it, because the other concept, which is like, I don't know, building something, is pretty easy to understand and pretty clear.
So how do you think that product reviews, booster box openings factor into that? I know you said gameplay, it's going to have to be figured out. With a product review, can you really make people that interested in what's going to happen in the video? Or is that purely just an informational video that will be used just for that purpose, and informational rather than entertainment?
I'm not sure if it would be successful as a entertainment or like in recommended type thing. You got to get people to think, do I want to buy this? And I think that's achievable. Like don't buy this, it's a scam or something. Boom, you captured my attention. Maybe I thought this was
the
a great
professor has
product.
used
I want to,
before.
yeah. Maybe I think it's a great product. I want to click it to see, is this actually, what are they talking about? Or,
Yeah.
oh, this is a great product, you better buy it right now. Either side, you kind of make it interesting to any person who's interested in magic or whatever, that type of thing.
Yeah, and that also brings up, are we going to get people who don't watch magic ever to click on magic videos? Probably, but it's going to be, I think, difficult to figure out how to do that.
Yeah. Like a lot of people, like Sunny V2 is another good example of someone who makes content about YouTube, about YouTubers, but also goes into a wider audience, because anyone interested in that specific YouTuber is going to want to click on it.
So I guess we can wrap this up with, how do we follow what you are doing today?
Quality over quantity at some point, right? So you start just building your skills, and then at some point you're going to be like, well, I can't build my skills because I don't have enough time to put into a video to make it up to my standard. And so you just slowly increase the quality. And when your quality is high enough, you'll start seeing success, and you just try and be as selective as possible with your ideas.
Gotcha. Where can everybody watching find you? Besides the description down below.
Yeah, probably just the description. I'm pretty sure I still don't show up in search. But you can look at my old videos, Commander Quest, if you want to. My new channel probably doesn't show up in search. Just look up I went to Mr. Beast Burger on opening day. That's my best performing video, so I'm pretty sure it shows up.
All right, so if you want to find Griffin's new channel, you can look up I went to Mr. Beast Burger on opening day. I will have links down below in the description for his new channel, his older channel, Commander Quest, and anything else you want me to link below. I'll also have that linked below. Sure. And then my parting question, as in, I guess, ex-Magic the Gathering player, when you were playing, what was your favorite card?
Zada, probably. Zada, Hedron Grinder.
That's a very good choice. Very gross to play against. All right. Well, thank you for coming on, and
yeah, thanks.
Good luck with your YouTube.
See you in a couple years when I have millions of subscribers.
Thank you so much for watching, and a huge thanks to Griffin for coming on the show. Please subscribe to both of our channels. Don't forget that everything we talked about is linked below, and have a great day. I hope to see you next time.